Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Gettin Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. Welcome to episode 3 of season 14. We'd like to welcome all of you guys from all over the world, no matter where you are, no matter what time it is. It's 6:30 p.m. where we are, but who knows what time it is where you are. I know a lot of you guys stay up real late into the evening and even into the morning to watch this show live, and I truly appreciate it. And we want to welcome everybody here tonight because Ashley's going to be doing the drawing, and it should be a good one. Ashley, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you for asking. I hope you folks are doing well also. Let's see. I've drawn in pastel. You've drawn in charcoal. So we're going back to basics tonight. We're going back to our bread and butter graphite. And I've got a drawing that I think is going to be fun for us. It's pretty hard edge drawing of objects, which is my favorite. My last drawing was a nature scene with the animal, which just stretches me a little bit. So this one's more in my wheelhouse. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, Ashley seems to like the man-made objects, and I like the God-made objects. The objects from nature. So we kind of play off each other pretty well.
Yeah, it's true. Good variety.
Yeah. So Ashley's going back to his wheelhouse tonight. And like I said, we're going to be working with graphite, maybe some powdered graphite as well. There is a chat box if you're watching this live on YouTube. Of course, you can ask questions and post comments during tonight's broadcast. We'll do our best to answer those for you. If you do have a comment or question that's directed specifically at Ashley or I, we ask that you use the super chat function, which does cost you a little bit of money, but it helps the channel out and it gets your comment predominantly displayed there in the chat box and gives us plenty of time to see it, of course. And then you get the little cheer as well. So all kinds of great things that come along with the super chat. Also, if you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you're watching the replay, leave a comment below. Let us know how you like the video. And if you want to take your drawing and painting skills to the next level, don't forget to check out what we've got going on over at thevirtualinstructor.com. We have a membership program over there, which includes all of our drawing and painting courses, which we cover every medium that you can imagine and every subject matter that you can imagine as well. In fact, I just recently counted up all the videos, and it's over 2,200 art instruction videos over there for you at thevirtualinstructor.com. There's a link in the description below. You can check out the membership program for free for a week. We offer a free 7-day trial period before you're charged. And the program is insanely inexpensive, incredibly inexpensive. There's also a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers that includes everything you need to teach. So if you are a visual arts teacher, you ought to check that out as well. And we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee beyond the 7-day trial. So pretty awesome stuff over there. I would encourage you to check it out. Also, if you want to just get on our mailing list and check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free, there's a link in the description below for that as well. But now, I think we're ready to get into it. Brent does art, still waiting on Conte drawing. Yep. It's going to be at least another week.
I did a hawk. Was it two seasons ago?
Yeah, okay, with the Conte.
2 seasons,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So that was my only forte into Conte, but maybe we'll return to Conte crayon.
All right.
Are we ready?
I think we're ready to switch over.
All right,
ready?
let's do it. Let's take a look at our materials.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've got a few things to talk about before we start making marks. We've got our reference. We'll talk about that first. So it is a pill bottle with pills spilling out. The bottle is receding back into the I guess the background. In fact, the back edge of the bottle is just slightly out of focus. It won't really be out of focus in our drawing. We're not going to worry about really the harder soft edges. They're all pretty sharp edges. But in any case, there is some perspective evident when we look at the bottle that helps create some space. There's also a nice scale relationship change in the pills. The pills that are lowest in our picture plane are a little bit bigger looking because they're closer than the pills that are still in the mouth of the bottle. And so we know they're the same thing. So the difference in size is also helping us to feel the space that we have in this little image. The image is digitally manipulated. Originally it was in color. I changed it to black and white. And then also, if you look like just on the very edge, like a half of an inch or so of the right edge, that was not part of the original picture. And the bottle was a little bit close to this right edge, a little too close for me. And so I wanted to recrop it, but it was more than cropping. I needed to remove a little bit of the background along the bottom edge and the left edge, but I needed to add some more background to the right edge. So I used Photoshop's generative AI tool.
What?
Just to add in a little more background all the way down. I know, it's crazy.
What?
It's not an AI image, but I used an AI tool to change it a little bit.
Yeah. Now listen, the reason why I'm saying what like that and being sarcastic is because got some backlash last week because the image that we used was AI generated. And it was just a few people, but man, the backlash.
There was some strong feelings out there.
Yes, but so this week you used artificial intelligence
to manipulate
your reference.
Right. And
interesting.
I could have added it with the stamp tool.
You could have, yeah.
Could have done that.
But it was much easier and quicker.
Right.
And look how believable and realistic it looks.
Yeah.
And also, it's not going to have much of an impact on your drawing, is it?
No, it just adjusted our composition a little bit is all. And those are the type of decisions that an artist makes. Compositional decisions are the most important ones. So we can change the composition just in our drawing, or in this case, I changed it in the reference first, and it'll translate into the drawing. But it was still a decision made, not made by a computer, but computer assisted. That's how I would like to describe it. Yep. So that's and additionally, I also used a magic wand tool just to select only the pills, and then I darkened the pills and increased their contrast a little bit because they were just a little bit too white. So that's something that I did without any AI assistance. I just used our old-fashioned Photoshop tools that have been around for a couple of decades.
Yeah, and if you're watching the chat, buddy, I like Laura's definition because that's pretty much what it is on Backlash. Pretty much. All right.
Well said. Okay.
All right. So before you get started, I'm not sure if you're ready or not.
Well, I want to talk about our materials briefly.
Okay. Good.
You mean to go ahead with that?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
I need to do something before we start the timer.
All right, very good, very good. So this was based on, the illustration was inspired by a song, and it's not as obvious, I think, maybe, or as clear as our previous two that had an image in the subject was in the title of the song that inspired the reference. So this one was inspired by Mother's Little Helper by the Rolling Stones. And, it's not I just like the picture. I love the song. And me choosing the picture is not a comment on, people's use of prescription medication in the mid to late 60s when the song was written. I wasn't even there. So there's no meaning attached to this.
Ashley just likes the song.
I like the song and I like the picture.
He was singing it to me.
Yeah,
before.
I did. I sang a whole verse and then spoke the chorus. Because I don't think Matt was.
He sounded more like Keith Richards than Mick Jagger.
That's because I smoked 12 cigarettes on the way over here. I'm just kidding. All right, let's look at our materials. So this is a graphite drawing. So I've got a pencil. It's an ebony pencil made by Generals, the Generals layout pencil. Whoa.
Yeah, there we go. No. All right. Well.
Coming back. All right, there we are. So yeah, it's a Generals layout pencil, or it's comparable to an ebony pencil from other brands. And I have a 3H pencil. I might start with that, but I don't know. Probably don't need that. I also have an electric eraser, and we may use that a little bit in some of the highlights on the bottle, but we may not need it. We might be able to use our stick eraser, which is also kind of a precision tool. And then I have a kneaded eraser that I rolled out into a longer shape so it would feel like it fits in with the rest of the tools. So don't be confused, that gray hot dog is a kneaded eraser. And then I've got just a regular black rubber eraser. So I've got 4 erasers ready to go. We're going to use them. We're going to be erasing into parts of this drawing at times, working more like a painter, because the second step of our drawing mine anyway includes graphite powder. Now you don't have to have graphite powder to follow along. You could just lightly shade over the entire composition at some point, and you could even smooth out your marks so they look a little bit more like mine will, having used graphite powder. You could use a stump for that. So you don't need the same tools to make the same kind of drawing. Well, we'll be using a brush. This is just a watercolor brush. It's kind of large. It's a filbert shaped brush. So hopefully the roundness of the brush will keep me from making too many distinct marks while we spread the graphite powder out. But there'll probably be a little bit of a little variety in the in the background because of the graphite powder. But there's some variety on the tabletop that our bottle's rested on anyway, so it should be fun. We'll see how that goes. All right, I think that's it. I think that's
all right.
Pretty basic.
I'm going to go ahead and switch back over this camera,
okay.
And of course now it's behaving.
Yeah, I was watching it before, and every time you switched to it, it went. Yeah, I don't know if it's because my hands were moving around over top of it.
It probably needs glasses. Yeah,
seems fine now.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh no.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna fix it. But I have to turn on the timer first on this scene before.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Is the timer going now?
No, it's not.
Okay. All right. I didn't mention before, but I did write the size of our paper at the top. So it is 4 inches across by 5 3/8 of an inch from top to bottom. And I'm not sure if I taped it up right. So it's just close to that. I think it may actually be 4 1/8 across, but it's about 4 and a little bit less than 5.5 in the height. Okay. The paper is just sketch paper. It came out of a sketchbook, a sketch pad. So it's probably 60-pound paper. I think that's it.
All right. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right.
There's
I'm going to
no
go
questions.
ahead and start the timer. Before I do, though, buddy, I see your comment about a lesson on using AI to create or alter a reference photo. For the basics of working with Photoshop, I know you're a member, buddy. I don't know if you've gone through the course Basic Photoshop for Artists, but that tells you a lot. It doesn't cover any of the AI tools or anything like that. All right, now Ashley's got a head start. Now
I thought you started the timer.
I know,
okay.
it's my fault. All right, you're good to go now.
All right, very good.
Edie asks, will the graphite powder ruin the brush or for other mediums?
No. The graphite doesn't have any sort of binder or glue in it, so I should be able to wash it out with water and then still use it as a watercolor brush. All right, so we're working up our bottle shape right now, and for me, with the business going on down here in the mouth of the bottle, I think it's a little bit easier to go ahead and draw the bottle as though the mouth cylinder were not on it, and then add that on. So it looks like I've just drawn one big pill on my paper, but that's not, we'll change that. So I'm going to find what I would say is sort of the spine of our bottle, its axis, and then use that to start helping me draw this cylinder that is the mouth of the bottle. And I'm trying to think about it a little bit like a cylinder. There is a vanishing point back here somewhere off of our page, and the mouth of the bottles, the right and left side of the mouth, is going to taper in a little bit also. Kind of lean in a little bit to reflect that it's the effect of the vanishing point.
Jan says full Photoshop subscription is kind of pricey for amateurs. Yeah, I'm not sure how much it is now. I'll look it up, but I think the last time I saw was maybe $19 a month or something like that. I'll look it up here in just a minute and get you a price, Jan.
I have to look at that myself because I'm a subscriber on my iPad. I have the iPad version, and I'm not sure what I'm paying right now.
Yeah, I'm a subscriber too, and I have the entire suite. But of course, since I'm an educator, I get a discount.
That's sweet.
Yeah. But I think it's, for me, maybe $40 a month, I think. Jan, Sonia says, Jan, the iPhone Photoshop is like $7.99 a month.
And I think that the iPad version is closer to that, or like $9 a month. Doesn't have all the tools. And I use it with Procreate. I take files back and forth between the two. And they're both great programs, and they not even associated with each other, but they complement each other pretty well.
Okay, so you can get Photoshop and Lightroom for $19.99 a month. And for some reason, if you just want Photoshop, it's $22.99 a month.
I guess get Lightroom.
Don't understand that one, but that is called there's a term for that. It's called framing, price framing.
Yeah. I got caught with that yesterday. My wife was renting a movie that was $3.99.
Yeah.
But you could buy it for $1 more. So she bought it. We'll never watch it twice.
Well, you might. Now, if you want the entire Creative Suite, that includes Illustrator, Photoshop, Animate, Dreamweaver, although I think I'm the only person that still uses Dreamweaver, Premiere Pro, all of those wonderful programs, it's $59.99 a month.
That's pretty good if you're going to use even just a couple of them, I guess. Well, what's nice, I mean, I was kind of against the renting the programs when it first started, as opposed to buying the suite, the monthly rental fee. But they stay updated, so you're always getting the new year or the fresh year's version.
Yeah, but I'm still using like Photoshop from 2022.
Does it have
I'm using
CS
Premiere from like 2019.
Yeah.
Just because my files and templates work.
All you're really missing out on is the 3D tools, I think, have been canceled in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wouldn't be supported anymore, and they weren't that great. And
the 3D tools weren't that great.
Right. And then they've added the generative AI tool, and that is kind of a big change.
Yeah.
You would like to experiment with that.
I really like the perspective you've got going on there on the bottle already.
Thank you. I feel good about the bottle now. I've messed around for the last couple of minutes just with these ellipses here, and it's worth doing. I don't have a lot of time. I'd like to spend more time on this ellipse and that one, but they're going to get a little bit messed up, and we're going to have to rediscover them when we're shading. So we better move on. As far as the pills go, I want to think about like their overall shape together, like the collection that they make. So I'm gonna sketch out a shape that I think they fit inside of,
and then just carve out the pieces.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Sonia says, Ashley, what a pro you are at drawing ellipses.
Oh, thank you.
And Jan says, I remember when you bought software and only needed to pay again for a new version. I remember those days too. Then he goes on to say, Pepperidge Farm remembers. I remember Pepperidge Farm. Remember that store they used to have at the mall?
Pepperidge Farm?
It was a
like
Pepperidge Farm store.
Sausage?
Yeah, you'd get those little crates with all those smoked meats that will kill you in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Or actually kill you by stopping your heartbeat.
I love that stuff, but it's not good for me. I used to get a sausage, like a big sausage like that every Christmas.
Oh, Jan is explaining that it's a meme. I'm not down with the memes. The only thing I know is Skibbity Toilet, and I don't even really know what I'm saying when I say that. Yesterday in the car, my son said to my daughter Reynolds, stop capping. And I said, look, what did you say? He said, capping. She's capping, Dad.
What'd you call your sister?
I said, what is capping? She said, lying. I said, well, why don't you just say lying? Capping. I don't even understand where the root for capping may have come from.
Sounds dangerous. All right, well, these pills are going a lot slower than I thought they would, so we'll get them in.
No, you got plenty of time. Now, your plan for the powdered graphite, you're just going to apply that over the top of the pencil drawing?
Right. That's why I'm going. I don't mind that I'm going a little bit heavy with the outlines. Made a mistake down here, so I'm going to move a line over, and because it's going to need to show through the application of powdered graphite.
Barb says, how does Ashley like the layout pencil? I have a bunch and love them.
Oh, these are great. These may be the best pencils.
They are the best all-around pencil out there for sure. They're probably equivalent to about a 4B.
Yeah.
And the great thing is they are not as shiny as other graphite pencils.
They feel good. They give you a good, like, tactile experience, on the paper.
And
rough.
they keep their tip sharper for a little longer period of time. Now, I love those pencils so much that when I was at Central Office and was putting together the stuff that teachers could order from Central Office, they had those ebony pencils. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
And I hated the ebony pencils because they are so shiny.
And they were the Prismacolor ebonies is what they were, weren't they?
I can't remember. I don't know if Prismacolor had them at that time or not.
I love Prismacolor, but I don't like their ebony pencils. I think it might have been theirs, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah, the ebony pencils are just too soft. They're super shiny, and I had them change of what you could order into the layout pencils. But we do have a super chat.
All right.
Let that little cheer go. All right. And Shell Bell says, "Hey, Matt, do you prefer pickleball or tennis?" Well, here's the thing. It's hard to find people to play tennis anymore. Good players. People just don't. I mean, it's hard to find good players in tennis. Everybody has switched over to pickleball. Now, it's easy to find.
It's a hard game.
Pickleball players.
It takes a lot of investment, I guess.
And yeah, tennis is definitely more difficult to learn and pick up compared to pickleball. But pickleball is a lot like tennis. So if you're good at tennis, you're going to be naturally good at pickleball. You're going to pick it up pretty quickly. These days I prefer pickleball only because I can find people to play with. Now, if it was the opposite, if I could find tennis players who are quality opponents, then I would definitely. Well, I'm serious. It's hard to find people who are good at tennis.
Yeah.
I love tennis because it is such a mental game and it's a long game. So you have plenty of time when you're playing an opponent in tennis to figure out their weaknesses and then exploit those weaknesses. In pickleball, the games are so quick and so fast that you don't have the same type of time to find and exploit weaknesses in your opponent. So tennis is definitely more of a mental game, and I prefer singles anyway. Most of the time you play tennis in singles, where pickleball, most of the time you're playing doubles, which you have to rely on your partner to do some good plays, which that takes a little bit of the mental aspect out of it, and I really enjoy that. So I really like playing single pickleball. The problem is nobody wants to play me. We'll play doubles, and then nobody wants to play pickleball in singles because it's a short court and it's a lot of running. And you have to really be in good shape to play. But ironically, I did play pickleball today, and one person did stay after and play a singles match with me, and I really appreciated that. And I told them how much I appreciated it that they stayed and played with me. So I honestly, I really prefer tennis. I know I said I prefer pickleball because I can find people, but if I could find people for tennis, I would really prefer tennis because it's much more of a longer game and a game that requires more mental energy. It's more of a mental game. It's a very long-winded question, but you did that super chat, so I had to make it long-winded. Sonia says Prismacolor Ebony also hate. I also hate.
Yeah, those are the ones.
Keith asked, are you going to use negative shapes for the peels? And
well, I have done that a little bit. Like I did that right here. I sketched in this little triangle to help me find this peel. They're landing in about the right place. I made it up to the bottle just a little bit fast, so the pills have shifted some, and I've kind of been bouncing around so that they just kind of fill in however they may, and we're going to go with that. So I think where I've used the negative shapes are probably where they're more accurate. What I mostly did in this case is just draw a general shape that I thought they fit into, and then while I've been drawing, I'm not bound to that shape, and I found that I had drawn it too much to the right over here and not enough to the left over here. So I've just used that shape that I drew to help me continue to analyze the positioning of the pills and maybe better hone in on them. And I feel pretty good about it. They're not exactly the same as the reference.
Yeah, and if you're putting if you're putting shapes in order of importance, I would say the ellipses on the bottle are way more important than the locations of the pills.
Oh yeah, because the pills could have fallen out any which way, but ellipses are really stable. We know exactly what they should look like, and they stand out like a kind of like a sore thumb if they're not relatively accurate. A good point, Matt. Got to pick our battles.
You have to pick your battles, and it's real easy to get kind of lost in the weeds in there. You're lost in the pills.
Yeah. All right, we're almost to the powdered graphite. Just a few more of these little guys to sketch in. This one in here is important.
Shell Bell says, thanks for the great answer on pickleball. Can't wait to try it. Yeah, you really should try it because it is a game that you can pick up pretty quickly, and you can get good at it pretty quickly too. Unlike other sports, and, people like to call pickleball a game. I just called it a game, but it really is a sport. I mean, you really are, using your body. If you're playing to a high level, there's a lot of people that just go out there and kind of whack the ball around, which is fine too. But if you're really playing good players, you're really moving, you're really playing, and it's a taxing sport on your body, which is a good thing. That's something that you want in exercise.
And I guess it requires the same skills as tennis. Is it? But it's not like is a bad
similar.
hit or a missed hit not as penalizing? In
tennis, it's hard to get away with a weak ground stroke.
Right.
It's hard to get it's harder to make a good volley stroke. And then of course in tennis you have to serve the ball overhand.
You don't have to do that in pickleball.
Well, you don't have to serve it overhand in tennis either, but if you're really playing tennis, you're not going to hit an underhand serve.
Right. Not if you.
But in pickleball, you can't hit an overhead serve.
I see.
And there's a certain way you have to serve the ball. So it's really an advantage to the defending team in pickleball, where if you're playing tennis, when you're serving, you're at an advantage. But yeah, in tennis, you can't really, you have to hit good ground strokes. You have to have good technique, where in pickleball, you can get away with hitting bad backhands, bad forehands, and flat shots, and you can get away with playing without spin and stuff like that.
Pickleball is a little more forgiving then.
Yeah. If you're good at ping pong, you're probably going to be pretty good at pickleball too.
Is it more like ping pong or more like tennis?
Oh, it's definitely more like tennis than ping pong. But you can get away with a ping pong grip playing pickleball.
Okay.
People hold their handle and have their finger up the back of the paddle, which that'd be crazy in tennis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a more user-friendly sport, and you can not be good at it and still play and have fun. I like the way the pills are disappearing into the darkness up there. We've made kind of a half line.
I just didn't bother to finish drawing them because it's going to be really dark up there.
If there are details that you don't have to add, then you don't have to add them.
Okay.
I also like the fact that the pills are, they've got some foreshortening going on. They get larger at the end that's closer to the viewer and smaller as it goes back.
Yeah, just a little bit. I may have exaggerated that on a couple of them.
Yeah, it definitely exaggerated. And also cool. The fact that the pills themselves get smaller as they go back into the container. The reference photo from the angle that you took it at really accentuates that foreshortening in that perspective.
Yeah, the camera must have been pretty close to the subject. That helps, by the way. If you want the subject to the perspective to seem stronger in a reference photo, get closer. Okay. It's powdered graphite time. All right. I had started actually lightening my drawing a little bit a minute ago to start the powdered graphite and realized in my excitement I'd left out a couple of pills. So we'll lighten those, and then here goes. I Hopefully we won't lose all this. We'll see.
Yeah, I'd be careful lightening it too much.
I realize I might be overdoing it. Okay, so sometimes the powdered graphite can make a mark, kind of a cloudy, dark area that doesn't spread as well where you start. So I'm going to start in the pill bottom because that is already something that's pretty dark. We can't really go too dark in there. Oh, gosh.
Now that brush you're using, again, to be clear, is a soft brush designed for watercolor, right?
That's right. It's a watercolor brush.
Mop brushes work really well for this as well. You want to avoid using something that's stiff and hard like a bristle brush.
All right, this is nice and soft. I try not to put down more powder than I think I'm going to use because it can be really messy. I mean, it gets everywhere. And of course, you can see it is a little darker right where I started. Scared me for a minute. I do have a dark smudge where I started, but that's up in the pill bottom. It's going to be shaded completely over, and then we're going to erase out the highlights, and we won't even notice that. So just a tip, you may want to start it in a darker area, or an area you're going to shade more over, just in case it's hard to get back to white in that area. And we won't really need to get back to white or off white up here. Not like we are going to have to in the pills. All right, that looks pretty good. It was super fast, and if you compare, the background or the ground plane in the reference to the drawing, we're close. We're close. All right, it's a little darker down here, so we'll just add a little bit more down in that corner. And all right, a graphite painting. Love it. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. I'm gonna give it just a. I'm gonna have to blow. Oh wait. Matt's got the brush.
Yeah, I got the brush.
Yes. Right. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I have to blow it all over the monitor.
I'm glad that was out on the table.
Me too, right? That was much appreciated.
Edie asked, if you didn't have to talk, Ashley, would you have to wear a dust mask?
No, I wouldn't wear a dust mask. It's not that much powder.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Especially for a drawing this big. If we were making, and you certainly can, do really, really, really large, like 2 or 3 foot tall drawings with powdered graphite is perfect for that because it does cover space so fast. Then you might want to wear a dust mask. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get into our bottle now.
Now, just to explain why you did that.
Yes.
The reason why you did that is basically to create a middle value. So now he's going to be able to use that middle value to broaden the range of value in the drawing. So he's going a lot darker at this point, and he's going to start to use the eraser, I'm imagining.
That's right.
To erase some of the powdered graphite away to create stronger highlights. And those highlights are going to stand out because there is a value on the surface.
Right. It feels more like painting because we can add something dark, and we can use our eraser now to add something light. And we're not erasing mistakes. We're actually creating value with our eraser, or aiming for a value. So it's a little bit more like painting. Now, I've made some white marks on that pill. I'm just going to have to just do a little. Okay, there we go. Just a little bit more on that one. Let's go back to the bottle. So I'm going to mostly just shade the bottle in. Pretty dark. I'm ignoring the highlights and the labels at first. We're going to use the eraser for most of that. Maybe I'm creating 2 values right now. Dark, and then also as dark as my pencil will go in a few areas. But I'm not going to try to skip around those highlights. And I don't even know if these strokes are going to make a difference, and it's a little bit more work, but why not go ahead and shade in a cross contour fashion. So I'm shading in curves that do like this, that feel like they're following the curve of the bottle. If these ellipses kept going all the way down, that's kind of my my guide. The ellipses in the front of the bottle are guiding the direction of my stroke to the back of the bottle.
That concept that Ashley is explaining is called cross contour lines. And that is a concept that a lot of people have difficulty understanding, because really the way you teach it is to draw the cross contour lines. We don't really see those lines on objects most of the time. Sometimes we can see them, but like at the top of the bottle where you see the screws, or the screw where you would put the cap
Right,
on.
those ridges are showing us this direction.
Exactly. It's illustrating the cross contour lines. But by shading in the direction of the form, by following the cross contour lines, you communicate the form of the object while you're shading. So the same thing's true if you're using paint and you're adding the paint with a brush. Not so much with watercolor, but with acrylics and oils, your brush strokes are going to give information about the form of the object as you're adding color and value.
All right, so still following those same, you can definitely see the strokes right now. They're going to become less apparent as we get darker. And then also, I think I'm going to go ahead and use a stump a little bit lightly over the bottle so that it feels pretty smooth, because other things feel smooth. We've got a relatively smooth background, and the bottle is so smooth it's shiny. So I don't want it to have a pronounced texture, an accidental texture created by my strokes. All right, now in the mouth of the bottle and all these ridges, I'm going to put them in roughly. And some of these gaps, I think, will become those ridges. So I'm going to try purposely leave gaps in my strokes as I build this area up. Then see if I can use some of those gaps. Some of these gaps might just land in a good place and they can become a highlight. So I just kind of zigzagged my way through that area.
Well, you're never going to believe this, Ashley, but it looks like it's raining outside again.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah, lots of people are talking about the weather, or they were earlier in the chat box.
No.
But guys, it has rained here for the last 5 days, I think.
My son had a pickup soccer game that was canceled a couple of days ago, and he had one tonight, and he went to it, and I told him, I said, make sure your phone's charged. I'm afraid you're going to get rained on. So that stinks. The soccer fields are in rough shape, and the golf courses are soupy too. See, it's summertime. We're ready for our outdoor fun.
Right.
And we're getting a lot of rain right now.
Speaking of outdoor activities, Luke his last regular season game was last night.
Okay.
Now that's for rec ball. He's still got 2 more tournaments for travel ball, and then the all-star team. He's got the all-star games.
Yeah.
But that means that probably after next week, that will be the last week that we have to have this on Thursday instead of Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So we're going to return to
See.
Wednesdays. Potentially.
All right. Peter says, so glad you reached 1 million subscribers. Well deserved. Thank you so much for that, Peter. And I am working on a video to come out. It's a studio tour. I'm editing it right now, and I'm going to talk about that 1 million subscriber deal. And I would encourage all of you to watch it. And I'm also going to be giving something away.
Oh, boy.
In fact, 5 somethings. So be on the lookout for that video. It should come out at the beginning of next week. And Charles says, Matt, I heard there was a shark attack today off the coast of North Carolina. Oh, my gosh, Charles.
Oh, gosh.
I do not like to hear that.
No, didn't hear that.
This past weekend, I was at the beach. I did surf. Something swam past my leg, which is becoming more and more common. And it was, it was one of those days, the last day I was out there surfing, where the water was real calm, but the waves were very clearly defined. It's great surfing. But when you're out there by yourself, out there pretty far, and the water's calm, you see all kinds of fish movement and stuff. You see the water get disturbed. It's a little freaky. But when I came into shore, I did see something very large close to the horizon breach the water and create a massive wave or massive splash when it landed. And it did have a white belly. And so I did look up, that prompted me to look up on the internet where they track great white sharks and large tiger sharks and things like that. And at the time, there were 5 great white sharks off the coast. of North Carolina. So I
You-
really hope
You
it
could have
was
seen one.
right. And now my cousin is a really big surfer. He's a really good surfer. I am just a little baby surfer.
You're a minnow.
I'm a minnow, but my cousin is a really good surfer, and I hope he wasn't the one. I mean, the chances of that are
gosh.
pretty slim, but I'm sure I would have heard something about that.
Yeah,
now.
probably would have heard something.
Edie says, "Cue the music from Jaws." Yeah. But I've heard it said if you get in the water and you taste it and it tastes really salty, then a shark is near.
Really?
Well, yeah, because every time you get in the ocean, the water is always salty. There's always a shark out.
Goodness.
I've just come to accept that and understand that there are sharks out there. There are sharks all around me when I'm out there, and they usually don't want to mess with me. So
You're salty too.
we don't have reef sharks, but we do have. Buddy asked, "Do you have reef sharks or the huge bitey ones?" We do have, and I know all the sharks off the coast of North Carolina because I did an illustration that had all the sharks of North Carolina in it.
That's cool.
We do have bull sharks are really the ones that are the scariest because bull sharks will eat anything, and they're pretty aggressive, and they like to be in murky water. So bull sharks are really the ones that I'm most fearful of. But we've got black tips, bull sharks. There are tiger sharks. There are great whites, although you don't see them very much, but they are out there. Sand tiger sharks, nurse sharks, although there's nothing to be
Bull
fearful of nurse
sharks look
sharks.
so cool.
And sand tiger sharks aren't really going to attack you either. They look scary, but they're really not that scary. But bull sharks are the scary one.
They're scary looking. They're muscular looking.
Yes. A couple years ago, there were 3 attacks on our beach, all within 2 days of each other. 2 attacks happened on the same day, just like a quarter of a mile from each other. One person lost their arm. Another person was bit on the leg. And then another one had kind of a minor bite. But I wouldn't want to even have a minor bite, much less lose my arm.
Nope.
And they think that all of those attacks were bull sharks. So,
Wow.
yeah. Ashley says, I'm wondering about the layout pencil. Is it easier to erase than other soft/darkened graphite pencils?
I don't know if it's easier. It's not, like Matt had mentioned before, it's not quite as slick. So in that way, it might be. You know how your eraser starts to just sort of make eraser slide mud.
Yeah.
And it all just stays gray, even though, and you get streaks, but it's not coming off. I would say maybe it does a little bit better.
Now,
because it's not quite as slick.
but he says, oh my God, Matt, it might take it easy with those sharks. I used to snorkel with reef sharks, but they aren't scary when you know how to behave. I know I told the live lesson people, but I did have a shark breach the water last summer, at the end of last summer, and it was only a few feet away from me, and it came up right in my trail of the on the surfboard. I was still on the
Like in your
surfboard,
wake.
and I just happened to turn around and saw the shark come out, mouth open, white of its belly. It was probably 4.5, 5 feet, but I would not have liked to have fallen at that point on that shark. But we quickly cleared the beach when I saw that. I got back in, I got my son back in, and then we told everybody there was a shark in the water.
You got to do that.
I got to do
You
that.
get to yell on the beach that there's a shark in
It
the
was
water.
one of those moments where you can't believe you saw what you just saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, did
You
I just see
almost
that?
can't talk about it. You can't find the words at first.
And then the fear creeps in, and you just kind of act.
Like that really happened.
Jan says, have you ever drawn a shark on the show? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we have.
Matt has.
I've done one with white charcoal and black paper, but I did another shark that's on the website where I used all kinds of mediums. I used graphite, ink, markers, charcoal, white charcoal,
It's really
white
cool.
ink.
Yeah, broke all the rules, and it looks great. And
Yeah,
unified.
and I did it on a piece of mat board. And it turned out to be a really, really good drawing. So Nick says, would you recommend any pastel pencils that are affordable? I'm still pretty new to pastels. Yeah, pastel pencils can be expensive. They can also be really inexpensive, but the inexpensive ones are the ones that you don't want. If you're brand new, I think the Carbothello pencils are probably the most user-friendly pastel pencils out there. The Conte Opry pencils are the best, in my opinion, but they are very expensive. And they're super soft and brittle, but that's what makes them so great. So again, that's Conte Opry and it is spelled Conte Paris. So Conte Opry. And then like I said, the Carbothello pencils, pastel pencils are pretty good. Derwent makes good pastel pencils as well, although I'm not really sure about the price on the Derwent ones. And if price is an issue, you could probably just get a smaller set and use traditional soft pastels for the larger areas. Faber-Castell is good as well. I don't know how expensive they are. I might have to check out
we're
that.
just erasing our way into some
Shark Attack,
contrast, hopefully, and kind of working from left to right some, or doing a little bit more on the left side as I go, just because it's so smudgy and smudgy.
Oh my gosh. Swimmer injured in possible shark attack off North Carolina beach, and the beach is Sunset Beach.
Oh no!
Which is right next to our beach.
Yeah, there's just a tiny little gap.
Yeah, you could walk when the
beaches.
tide goes down. You can walk to Sunset Beach.
That is
Looks like it bit their leg. It says the full extent of the patient's injuries remain unknown. I'm sure they're fine.
All right.
Yep.
Let's see, we've got about 10 minutes left, so I think we're in a pretty good place for the things we still need to do. And just get a little bit of light back here. Just a little bit lighter up here in the background, so we'll pull some of that out, tap it out with our kneaded eraser.
Orion Nebula says, my biggest problem with soft pastel is the dust. Orion Nebula, I would encourage you to use pastel matte paper because that keeps the dust down. It really is a remarkable paper for working with pastels. And I understand some other brands are kind of doing similar surfaces as the pastel matte paper, because pastel matte paper is expensive, but it does hold the pastel dust in place and really cuts down on the dust. I can't wait to see those highlights in the bottle.
I know.
And Edie is already saying the drawing is more attractive than the photo. And
thanks.
It should be. I mean, it's amazing how when you take subjects and turn them into drawing and paintings, how more interesting they are, because this photo on its own is very uninteresting, but the drawing is interesting.
Yep, you want something to look better than it does in a photo, you can always make a drawing, almost every time.
Thank you for that comment, buddy. And let's see, buddy says, or Charles, thank you for that comment, Charles. And I was getting ready to answer buddy's question, but it looks like she retracted it.
Here.
Yeah. Now, Orion Nebula, the Birch Tree series, I worked on Canton Mitant's pastel paper for that. Actually, I think I worked on Mitant's pastel board for that, which is the same surface as the pastel matte paper. But yeah, you could definitely do that on pastel matte paper, or same surface as the Canton Mitant's pastel paper. But you can definitely work on pastel matte paper to do that series. Pastel matte. There's so many pastels in that statement I just said. And we got another super chat. It's Shell Bell.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Shell Bell. No comment with that, but I'll look for you.
Second super chat.
Buddy asked, could you use very heavy watercolor like you would with gouache? Can you use, I think she's asking, can you use watercolor very, very heavily to mimic gouache, maybe?
It gets too shiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you use watercolor heavy, it shines, and gouache is a matte surface. So I would say it's not going to look like gouache. If that's what you like. That's what you like about gouache, and that's what I like about gouache, that sort of that matte quality matte surface that it creates.
And Shell Bell, when she did her super chat, meant to write, have you heard of the Archibald portrait competition?
Where I haven't, but do you make portraits out of things like Archimboldo?
No,
Remember
it's
those paintings from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, where the fruit and the vegetables made up the face.
Vegetables making. It's not like that, right?
No, I think this is like a portrait competition worldwide.
I would like to check that out.
She says it's in Sydney at the Art Gallery of North South Wales, maybe in NSW.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that's what that means.
I have to look it up.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up.
Right.
So you're going back in now with the pencil, and you're just creating some more contrast.
Yeah, just
maybe
trying
creating
to
a little bit more shadow.
Clarify some of the contours where the shadows allow me to use them to do that. Exactly.
Are you planning on going back and putting highlights on the bottle?
Oh yeah, I know you're excited about that.
I'm excited about that.
And I know we're getting low on time. I think we're gonna have time. All right, let's get into the bottle.
So just using a non-electric eraser.
Yeah,
here
I'm trying to do most of this with a regular stick eraser, just because it doesn't take off as much, or it doesn't have to. I got a little more control over it. There are some really wide areas that we may want to use it for.
Yeah, Jan, in response to Buddy, makes a good point. I've used undiluted watercolor paint to make traffic lights, brake lights, stop lights, etc. And that's very true. You can use the watercolor with very little water applied to it to create more solid applications. But with gouache, you can go back over the top of applications that you've already put down. And I imagine if you're working with a watercolor and you're wanting it to behave more like an opaque paint, that you would want to have that ability. So the answer would be, why not just use gouache? Because you can use gouache and watercolor interchangeably. So why not use a little bit of gouache in there? And I have created a piece of artwork that I'm in the process of editing a class series for, where I use watercolor and gouache together. And I've got maybe 4 of the 7 or 8 videos edited. So that'll be coming out soon too for members.
These highlights are pretty sharp in most places because the bottle's so smooth, which is nice.
Mary Elizabeth asks, are you going to represent the table more?
Like the wood grain in the table? I don't think so. I don't think I'll have time in the sketch. We may shade a little bit more down here if we can.
Yeah, Charles, that's why I was excited about him putting the reflections in. He says, wow, the reflections changed the entire sketch. Just wow.
Yeah, they make a big difference. I was holding them for last. There's my wow moment, holding the reflections for last. And we do have labels on here, and I'm going to put them on. So we'll erase these little areas out thoroughly and then shape those areas with our pencil. Got to get the label on here so we know that these are prescribed by a physician.
Maybe.
It's not illicit. Right, maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
Anybody can have a label maker, right?
Now we'll reshape those little label with our pencil. All right, and this is our stronger highlight area.
Mary Elizabeth says they look like vitamins.
That's it. I like that. They're just vitamins. These are not.
They look like pills that I would not like to try to swallow. I can tell you that. Yeah, Barb says that. I wouldn't want to swallow those pills.
They look swallow, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I just have the hardest time swallowing big pills.
I can see the reflection of the photographer in here.
Yeah, I bet you can on that.
Right, I picked him out.
On that shoulder.
I'm shaping his head right now. All right. We may go over by a minute or so. Now we're right at 7:30. We'll finish what we're doing here. We're so close. We're just going to have to possibly ignore the timer for about a minute.
Yeah, and we'll have to make sure you take the tape off too, because that will have an impact.
That's right.
But he says, Ashley, you make complex shapes so easy to draw. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Oh, they are shapes. I like that. I like these more geometric-like shapes.
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth, I know you can break the pills in half if they're too big. I have done that many times. The only problem with that is you get such a jagged edge when you break them in half. I just do not like swallowing big pills. Nick says, thank you for this channel. I've seen so much improvement in my drawings and paintings. I'm only 12. Well, that's fantastic, Nick.
Wow.
That you have seen improvement already. That's fantastic. And keep drawing and keep painting, keep creating. If you're only 12, boy, you can be anything that you want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it. And I'm not just talking about art. I believe that anybody can do and be anything that they want to be. And if young people believe that and continue to believe that, then their dreams can come true. They can, their dreams in their aspirations in life is what I'm saying. So, believe in yourself, keep working, keep practicing in whatever you love to do, and you'll be able to accomplish anything you want in this life. But you have to believe. Most importantly, in yourself. So a little bit of an indication of the texture of the table.
Yeah,
there.
just not really trying to make the wood grain, but just add a little some marks into it. Fussed around with the back of that bottle quite a bit. All right.
See, what's interesting in this image is the light source. Looks like there's two light sources.
Yeah, there's the window that we can see reflected in the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one over here from the right.
Right.
I guess.
See, that's like flattening out some of the shadows a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. I guess it's time to take the tape off of this one.
Enrique says, great drawing, Ashley.
No,
Thanks. Jan says, amazing
smudged
drawing,
over.
Ashley, with
Thank
a heart emoji.
All right. And just, I know you thought it was over.
Either Rennie or Renee says you can do it in powder. Yeah, the medicine, I think, is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Take the medicine, yeah. Mary Elizabeth says, did you take this photo?
No, this photo was a copyright-free image from the website Pixabay. And then I manipulated it a little bit using Adobe Photoshop.
Yeah, you know, we really like Pixabay.
Yeah. All right, got a bad case of silver hand.
There.
Bad case. Should have brought a bridge today. All right, let's take the tape off really quickly.
All right. And that tape comes off easy. Hadn't been on there very long.
Hadn't been on long, and I did tape it over my pants a little bit. Try to take away a little bit of the sticky. Matt had a nice, fresh white artboard laid out when I came into the studio tonight, and then he saw the powdered graphite, and he gave me a dirty one.
That is true.
It's like, oh, yeah, that's not the board for you. All right, there we go. We have it.
Very nice.
Crisp edges.
Very nicely done. Let's look at the other angle there.
And maybe
this camera's like acting up.
It's a little shiny from that angle.
It's shiny from that angle.
If I lift it a little, I still like that camera. It just oh boy, look at that.
Look at the shine.
Yeah, I like it better without the shine. So there's a little shine on it.
Yeah.
Even while we were drawing, I'm not sure. There we go. I think that's a little truer. Okay.
Okay. Asian says, "Hey guys, any way fans can send photos for you to feature on a live? If they're your original photos, I would consider them. But you would have to send them through the website, through the contact form on the website, or you could send me links to your photo album that you might have online or something like that. And if they're your photos, you would have to give me and Ashley permission to use those photos in writing."
In your email. Maybe
there's a lot of bad people out there that will try to trap you and trick you into doing things. So
trick us into drawing from a copyright photo and then report us to YouTube.
Right, exactly.
Trapped.
People do that.
I would have never thought.
People do that.
People would do stuff like that.
But you saw how quickly I thought about that.
Yeah.
You know, years ago, I had
Matt's street smart.
I had
YouTube street
well,
smart.
it's only from experience.
Yeah.
I had a gallery on the website where people could upload their own artworks. And now they would upload their own artworks and then I would manually publish them. This is many years ago. Somebody sent me their artworks from their email address.
Yeah.
Then 2 weeks later, after I had posted them, they went off on me, threatening to sue me for posting their artworks online without their permission.
And that was the...
And it was from the same email address that sent me the photos. Sent me the
for the
drawings.
purpose of posting it.
Exactly.
So they did want it posted.
So either they were crazy and did not know they had done it, or they were trying to trap me or whatever. Don't you remember me telling you about that time where I used a paint splatter?
Yes.
I purchased the rights to use a paint splatter, and then somebody...
So they said that's their paint splatter.
The paint splatter is in one of the logos for one of my courses, and it's like not even important. It's like, it's just to make the text look more interesting. And that person told me that that was their paint splatter on their floor in their studio, and they photographed it. And they were ready to try to sue me for that paint splatter.
You should have said, no. I
did.
Came into your studio and photographed it myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy people out there. A lot of crazy people.
Well, I'm crazy enough to not stop drawing until you turn the cameras
well, it looks
on.
great.
I'm going to stop now. Stop.
All right.
When I zoomed out, I got a better look at some things. It's like where I would need to sharpen some parts up. All right.
Well, very
that's it.
good.
This one's in the books.
Yeah.
And Matt will have something planned for us next week.
I will. And it will
wait.
be next week when I plan that. All right. I think that's it, right?
Yep, that's it.
All right. We'll switch
back.
on out and say goodbye to everybody. Good bite. Meant to say good night, everybody. All right, guys. I'm just lounging here, sitting back, lounging. Look at my little head in the corner. Just lounging. I need to sit back up. It's business time.
There we go.
All right.
There's the rest of them.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed Ashley's drawing tonight. I certainly enjoyed watching it come together. And Mother's Little Helper was your song tonight.
That was my song of inspiration.
Right. So this afternoon, I was thinking, what is my song going to be? And the only thing I could think of is Eye of the Tiger. I don't know what that's the only thing I can think of. But there are a ton of other options out there. And I'm probably not going to use Eye of the Tiger next week. I might use it in this series, though. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, next week, I'll be doing the drawing. I have no idea what song I'm going to pick or what theme it's going to be or what medium I'm going to work in. I know it won't be charcoal because I worked in charcoal last week, and I know it won't be graphite because Ashley worked in graphite this past week, so or tonight. So stay tuned. I will have the live stream page set up next Tuesday morning, and I'll also have a link to the photo reference Thursday morning. Did I say Tuesday? Thursday morning. Thursday. I was trying to say the other T word in the week. So next Thursday. And like I kind of hinted at earlier tonight, next Thursday will probably be the last night that we do it on Thursday. We'll probably go back to Wednesday after that. Wednesdays are really better for me, probably for Ashley too, and probably for you guys too, since we've done Wednesdays for years.
For so long.
Yeah. But baseball's wrapping up, so I'll be ready to get back onto the Wednesdays. All right. All right. Thank you guys for your comments, and thanks for joining us. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Ashley, do you have anything else for?
Am I up a little high?
No, you're good.
All right. I would say if you drew along, thanks. And if you haven't finished your drawing, keep going. And just remember between this week and next week to remember to take your vitamins. Take your vitamins.
Yes. Drawing looked good on that camera. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
There you go. Very small area of focus.
Right. I got to get it right here.
And look, you've made them real life size. They are the real life size. You just take one of those pills and now you feel better. Mm-hmm. Now your life is so much better.
My vitamin B. I feel great.
All right, guys. For those of you who are going to be joining us on the live stream for members, we'll see you in just a minute. We're starting a brand new series. I'm going to be doing a portrait in charcoal. So we'll see some of you guys here in just a few minutes. For the rest of you, we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week, guys. With that, we're going to go ahead and sign out for this evening. Good night, everybody.